Today we're going to go over the home fill. I'll go over that first. Everybody knows what a home fill is. Okay, it's what you fill your tanks off in a patient's home. A couple pieces of equipment that you're going to need is the home fill unit, the rack system, the concentrator, and of course the line that's going to connect the two so you can fill the tanks and the tank to go with it. One of the things about the home fill system is when you turn on the concentrator, you need to have the liter flow at least at 2, okay, and no higher than 3 on a 5-liter concentrator. It takes at least 2 liters to fill the tanks off of a home fill. So if a patient is ordered on 4 liters, they can't have a home fill system unless we convert them over to a 10-liter concentrator. So you make sure that your flow meter is set at 2, no higher than 3. You have a piece of tubing that's going to go between the two of them, and they fit in here in these green holes with the green thing. One on the bottom. When you go to fill a tank, you want to make sure that your tank is in the off position. It says off. You take your caps off. You want to make sure that the machine is turned off, and you take off the cap. You line up the gold pin right over the hole and click it down. And then when you turn on the machine, you're going to hear a couple of alarms. The home fill system is going to say, should say wait, this one doesn't have a wait light. Some of them have a wait light that tells you to wait. This one's just saying low O2 because it hasn't built up yet, but there's a couple of different systems out there. When they're calling in to troubleshoot, if they tell you those lights are on, if it's a wait or if it's a low O2, it could be because the concentrator is not putting out enough oxygen, so therefore the home fill system will not fill the tank. Or they've done something wrong. They either have the liter flow. If the liter flows are wrong, it's not going to tell you that. It just takes a longer time to fill the tank. If it's a little higher than 3 or if it's a little under 2, it's going to take longer to fill a tank. A tank this size takes about 2 hours and 45 minutes to fill, where the little short one takes maybe 2 hours and 10 minutes to fill. And I've got one of the bigger ones. When it's ready, it's going to tell you that it's filling, and you're going to hear a churning sound, so you can actually hear the difference when it actually goes into the fill cycle of the machine. So when you're troubleshooting something like that, that's what you want to kind of find out, if there's any lights on, what the lights are telling the patient. If the lights are telling the patient that it's a wait, or if it's a low O2, it could be that the concentrator needs to be switched out.
Or they just turned it on, because if they just turn the concentrator on, it has been shut off for a while, then it takes a while for the
That's right, it does take a while for the concentration to build up, but if they're still having issues even after, and these should build up very quickly, I think within a few minutes, it should start filling here. You'll hear it churn and then it will start doing it. If they don't have the tank in the off position, when they put this on, if they don't have it in the off position, it will not fill, okay? Or if it does, it might spew out, but I don't think it'll even fill in the off position. But there's several things that patients do that kind of boggles me, and I almost have to go out and visually see what it is they did to be able to correct it. But on the phone, that's just a knack to be able to troubleshoot some of this stuff on the phone. Any questions about what the lights mean, what we're looking for when we're filling a home fill system? Any questions about any trouble you had with on-calls on the home fill? Go ahead, Karen.
Regarding getting the tank
Down.
to line up, we've had a couple calls that just won't go in. So you did something like you were pressing
This
down
little
on
silver.
the top.
Yeah, this little silver thing.
So did you just push down on the
it
silver
wasn't,
thing?
Yeah, just to help it in. Usually it'll spring up when the tank's released, so that when you pop the tank down, it opens it up and opens up the little silver, the little gold head, so it'll hook onto the pin. But otherwise, it's because it didn't position itself from the last fill, so sometimes you just have to fool with these little things here to get it to lock down. Any questions? We're still waiting.
Is that a rack system?
This
Is that
one?
the rack?
Yeah, this is the rack system, and then there's a table system that the home fill will sit on top of. Okay, and then we also have the Perfecto. Did you hear it? It just switched. So now it's going to tell you, well, quit again. There it is.
So that one's not working?
No, it's in the fill. It's just because but it's saying filling. So after the 2 hours and 45 minutes, if the tank is completely empty, it's going to take that long, the machine will actually shut itself off. They can still leave it on. They just come over and physically turn it off. So a patient can actually leave their home while one of these are filling. It's not going to overfill. It can't overfill. Okay, and the machine will automatically cycle off when it hits the 2,000. Now, one of the things that the patients are taught when they're filling the tanks, they don't have to have the tank completely empty to refill it. But they do have to have it below the 1,000 mark in order to fill it. So if they're at 1,100, all they have to do is bleed off 100 pounds of pressure, and they'll be able, or maybe 200 pounds of pressure. Just open it up at 2 liters, continuous, and then they can bleed out that, and then they can fill it. They don't have to completely empty their tank because it's going to take another 2 hours and 45 minutes to fill it. But it does have to be under the 1,000 mark in order to fill. Am I right on that? I think there's some newer ones that are coming out that they don't have to, I've heard. I don't think we have any of those.
That's the bigger of the two tanks. The
Yes.
small ones, how long do they take?
About an hour, about 2 hours and 10 minutes. Because you go from a 4-hour tank to about a 6-hour tank, so you got a little more filling time to fill it up because you got a little bit more volume. So it's about that time. But most of the patients.
I never knew.
Oh, didn't you? Yeah, most of the patients will fill them before they're even empty.
Ralph usually stays there and waits for 2.5 hours.
Does he really?
Oh, yeah,
So let's say that it's finished. I'm going to turn it off, okay? And then I'm going to release the tank by pressing down on the silver, and it'll pop it up, okay? And then it's all finished. Then you should put your cap back on here, which I don't see it hanging on there. And then they should always recap this, the gold pen, so that we don't get any dirt and debris inside of there.
Ron, I know a lot of times when I go out, a lot of times the problem with that is as simple as they'll turn the compressor on before they put the tank.
Yes, that's right. Everything. Yes, that's right. The compressor does have to be off along with the tank. Okay, they can't have this turned on and then pop that on there. It'll either keep saying it's waiting, it just won't go into the fill cycle. So that's another good troubleshooting tip that some of the patients do.
If they turn the compressor on and try to put the tank in, then it's just going to say it's waiting for like
Yeah, it
hours.
probably won't alarm or do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just going to have them turn it off, reset,
Yep.
basically.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, if you're going to have the troubleshoot, just tell them to take everything off, turn everything down, except for the continuous concentrator, because they can use that while they're filling their tank, okay? So they can leave this run all the time, but this is what they're going to turn on and off. But it definitely has to be off when they're filling a home fill system. And the tank has to be off. It can't be set on the tube.
Both units are off until it's connected, and then you power it. Put the power on.
Yep. And if it, other reasons that it wouldn't fill is if their tubing is not securely put in, or if for some reason they have broke the tip off of this and they don't realize it because they've moved it around. That's going to be a leak, so it's not going to fill. And if I'm not mistaken, there is no alarms, right, for the home fill if there's leaks. I think it's only if it's produced. I don't think there's alarms at all, is there? But it's not an alarm, is it? It's just a light. Yeah, the home fill only has lights that let you know what's going on. So that's why you have to ask them. If there's an alarm going off, it's the concentrator that's going off. So if it's producing low O2, it should be either intermittently beeping to let us know something's wrong and the yellow light should be flashing, or the red light and the continuous alarm should be alerting us that there's something wrong. But sometimes patients will go, I hear this beeping sound, but I'm not quite sure what it is. And it's like, is it my fire detector or smoke detector? And usually it's this thing just intermittently beeping because it's not producing good oxygen, something's wrong and it needs attention. And so some patients will call up and say, I think my concentrator's beeping. Have you had that happen intermittently? Where they've called up and said that? So usually that's what it is. The concentrator needs to be switched out, and they can easily look to see what the alarm system is. So any questions about the home fill system and how we're using it?